Afterward, let's keep doing this. I was terrified that Michael would find out, but as long as we were careful, it would be fine. Henry nodded before Michael left for work and returned. From that day on, everything began. 2 or 3 times a week. As soon as Michael walked out the door, I would go to Henry's room. Tuesday mornings, Thursday afternoons, Saturday daytime, sometimes in Henry's room, sometimes on the living room sofa. Once it even happened in the kitchen. Henry took me from behind, and it started just like that. At the time, I was leaning on the dining table with both hands when he came up behind me. That was the year I turned 50-3. On an ordinary summer day, I woke up at 6 in the morning to prepare Henry's breakfast, helped Michael get ready for work, then washed the dishes. That was my day. I had been taking care of my and Menmeslaws for 10 years. We had been married about 15 years when my mother Semdilf declined and she moved in with us. At first it was exhausting caring for her while handling all the housework, but eventually I got used to it. A year ago, my mother Menis and Mineslaw passed away. Her pneumonia suddenly worsened. After the funeral, the house felt empty. Now it was just the 3 of us, Henry, Michael, and me. Henry was 70-5 this year, but he was incredibly fit. He went for a walk every morning and had a hearty appetite. People oft unpraised how healthy he was. Michael was 50-5 and worked at a company, usually coming home late in the evening. On weekends he either played golf or watched television at home. I took care of the cooking, laundry, and cleaning. But what troubled me most were the nights. When Michael and I lay in the bedroom, it would happen once in a while, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. The moment he turned toward me, I knew today was one of those days. Even when it started, it always ended quickly, 3 minutes, 5 at most, while Michael breathed heavily. Afterward, I could only stare at the ceiling in a daze. "Sorry," he would say, then turn away. I felt as if I had been hearing that apology for years. I never replied. I simply closed my eyes. Deep inside my body there remained an indescribable restlessness, like a switch had been flipped but left unfinished, leaving only emptiness. I went to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. In the mirror, my cheeks were flushed. What was this? We had been married more than 20-5 years, yet I had never once truly experienced that feeling. I didn't know if other women felt the same, but for me it was like this. When I met up with friends, they occasionally talked about such things. "How's it been with your husband lately?" they would ask with smiles. I could never join in. I had nothing to say. When I got home, I prepared dinner. Henry was reading the newspaper in the living room. I thought I felt him glance at me over his reading glasses, but maybe it was my imagination. "Sophie, is dinner ready?" "Yes, it'll be ready soon." "Dad, it's almost done." As I set the bowls and chopsticks on the table, Henry walked into the kitchen. He said he was looking for sugar. When he passed by me, his arm lightly brushed against mine. My body trembled for a moment. "Sorry, Sophie. It's nothing." Henry really was remarkably healthy for 70-5. He stood straight, and his voice was full and strong. After my mother Ines and Hilla passed away, he seemed even more vigorous than before. While washing the dishes after dinner, I saw dark clouds gathering outside the window. It was the plum rain season. Sjokel sent a text saying he had a work dinner and would be home late. I sighed. Even if he came back, he would just watch television until he fell asleep. Around 11 at night, the rain poured down heavily, thunder rumbling loudly. I had finished my bath and gone to the bedroom. Michael still wasn't home. I lay in bed with the bedside lamp on, staring at the ceiling, listening to the deafening rain outside. Suddenly a thought came to me: when would I ever truly experience that feeling? The kind my friends talked about. I was already 50-3. Was it too late? I closed my eyes but couldn't fall asleep. Michael sent another text saying he was going to a second round and wouldn't be back until after midnight. I sighed again, put down my phone, and pulled the covers over me. I don't know how long it was before I drifted off. How long had I been asleep? A loud crash of thunder jolted me awake. The room was pitch dark, just as usual. I fumbled for my phone and lit up the screen. 12:10 p.m. Michael would be back soon. I put the phone down and closed my eyes again. The rain continued to pour. After a while, I heard footsteps in the hallway. The door was pushed open carefully. It must be Michael, coming back from the dinner, probably smelling of alcohol. The mattress sank slightly as someone lay down beside me. But strangely, there was no smell of alcohol. Had he taken a shower? Instead, there was a faint scent of soap. We lay there like that for a moment. Should I be the one to initiate tonight? Usually Michael was the one who moved closer, but today he stayed quiet. In the darkness, I didn't feel shy. I reached out and touched the person beside me, feeling an arm. It felt firmer than I expected. I touched the chest, solid and strong. Had Michael started working out? It felt different from usual. Never mind. It was probably just the darkness playing tricks. My hand slowly slid downward, past the abdomen and lower still. My hand stopped. Something felt wrong. This was completely different from Michael, thicker, more powerful. How could Michael suddenly change like this? It seemed unbelievable. Then the person beside me moved. He turned toward me and wrapped an arm around my waist with surprising strength, much stronger than Michael's usual touch. Then he settled over me, rough and urgent. What had gotten into Michael tonight? Had something at the dinner excited him? But the feeling wasn't bad. It felt good. My nightgun was pushed up. Those hands roamed over my body, rough, calloused hands. Had Michael's hands always been this rough? The rain poured even harder, thunder roaring louder than before. Then it began. In that instant, I could barely breathe. It was completely different. From the very first thrust, the sensation was unlike anything I had known. The force, the depth, everything. 3 minutes passed. Normally, it would have ended by now, but it kept going. 5 minutes passed, and there was still no sign of stopping. The rhythm was different to slow. Deep strokes followed by quick, intense movements, then back to that deliberate pace. 10 minutes in, my body started to respond. A strange heat rose from deep within my core, a sensory experience I had never felt before. Sounds escaped my lips without permission. I tried to hold them back but couldn't. Around the 15th-minute mark, my whole body began to tremble. A massive wave crashed over me. I couldn't breathe. What was this? This feeling was entirely new. My legs wrapped around his waist of their own accord. My body acting with a will of its own, craving diaper, faster. Just then, the bedside lamp suddenly flicked on. The harsh light forced my eyes open slowly. My heart nearly stopped. The man above me was not my husband. It was Henry, his face glistening with sweat, breathing heavily, eyes wide with panic. I swallowed a scream before it could escape. Henry stared back at me, his face filled with shock. Sophie, I'm sorry. The power went out. I walked into the wrong room. I shoved him away in a panic, practically rolling off the bed. My legs had no strength. I staggered and nearly fell. I couldn't speak, my throat felt blocked. I quickly pulled my nightgun back into place, flung open the bedroom door, and rushed down the hallway to the bathroom at the end. I locked the door, lowered the toilet lid, and sat down. My hands were shaking. My entire body was shaking. What had just happened? Henry and I, for 15 minutes, and I had been the one who reached for him first. I had thought it was Michael. I felt sick. Yet somewhere deep inside, my body still remembered that touch, the sensation I had never experienced before, so completely different from my husband. I collapsed onto the cold bathroom floor. Outside, the rain continued to pour. I sat there for a long time, my body still trembling. My mind blank. What had just happened was unbelievable. Henry and I had done that, and it had lasted 15 minutes. I had even guided him. Just then, the sound of the front door opening echoed from the entrance. "Honey, I'm home." Eichel's voice drifted down the hallway, thick with the smell of alcohol. I jumped up quickly and washed my face, splashing it repeatedly with cold water. In the mirror, and my lips were swollen. I opened the bathroom door and stepped out. Henkel was in the living room, taking off his shoes. "You were in the bathroom?" "Yeah, I really had to go too." Schkolvik into the toilet. I returned to the bedroom. My heart pounded wildly as I pushed the door open. The sheets were crumpled into a mess. The pillow lay on the floor. The room still carried the faint scent of what had just happened. The scene replayed vividly in my mind. I straightened and the sheets and picked up the pillow, my hands still shaking. The moment my fingers touched the fabric, that sensation flooded back. I yanked my hand away. Michael entered the bedroom, reeking of alcohol. I'm exhausted. Work was hell. He collapsed onto the bed without even changing his clothes properly. Soon, he was snoring loudly. I lay on the far side of the bed, keeping as much distance as possible, my back turned to him. I closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. In the darkness, those intense sensations replayed endlessly, the power so different from Michael's, the 15 minutes that never seemed to end, the moment my whole body shook uncontrollably, and then the sight of Henry's face when the light came on that sweat-drenched face, the heavy breathing. I felt nauseous. I stared at the clock. 1 o'clock. 2, 3, 4. I tossed and turned until I finally drifted off just as the alarm rang at 6. My body felt heavy. My eyes refused to open, but I forced myself up. After washing up, I went to the kitchen to cook rice, make soup, and prepare side dishes. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Even the ladle slipped and clattered to the floor. Around 7, Henry's bedroom door opened. My heart sank to the bottom. I could barely breathe. Footsteps crossed the hallway into the living room. "Sophie, is breakfast ready?" His tone was exactly the same as always, as if nothing had happened. "It'll be ready soon." My voice trembled. Was he pretending nothing occurred? Henry sat at the dining table and opened his newspaper. I served the food, shaking so badly that the bowls and plates clattered loudly when I set them down. "Sophie, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." It was a lie. I was anything but fine. As I placed the last dish, Schweins met Henry's for a split second. The image from last night flashed instantly, Henry on top of me. I quickly looked away. "Last night." Henry began carefully. "Let's eat." I interrupted, fleeing into the kitchen. I didn't want to hear it. Gripping the edge of the counter, I took deep breaths. My hands still trembling. Around 8, Michael woke up, his face puffy from the hangover. "Is there any hangover soup? Did you make some?" Michael sat at the dining table. Henry continued reading his newspaper. "Dad, did you sleep well last night?" "Yeah, pretty well. Pretty well. After what happened last night, the rain was really heavy, and the thunder woke me up. Yeah, I got up to use the bathroom too, but then the power went out." The word power outage made my whole body freeze. There was a power outage? Bathroom too, but then the power went out. The word power outage made my whole body freeze. There was a power outage? I got home very late from the dinner party, completely unaware that the two of them had been chatting. I stood in the kitchen washing dishes, not daring to look toward the dining table. Michael finished getting ready and headed out. "Be careful on the road," I said. The door closed, and the house was left with only Henry and me. The living room was terrifyingly quiet. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. "Sophie." Henry called my name. I stayed in the kitchen and kept washing the dishes. "Sophie, come out for a moment." I had no choice but to walk out. Henry was sitting on the sofa. "Sit down." I hadn't finished the dishes yet, but I called it refuse. I sat on the sofa opposite him, keeping as much distance as possible. About what happened last night, I'm truly sorry. Because of the power outage, I walked into the wrong room. You started it first, and I panicked. I didn't know what to do. It sounded like an excuse. He kept talking for 15 minutes. How could I not have known? This kind of thing will never happen again. Let's just forget about it, okay? I forced myself to answer. Then I stood up as if escaping and rushed back into the kitchen. That whole day, I avoided Henry. I left his lunch at his bedroom door with a quick knock and walked away. Dinner was the same. I was terrified of sitting at the same table with him. At night, lying in bed, I still cowled in sleep. The scenes from the previous night kept replaying in my mind. The next day was the same. I made breakfast, avoided Henry, and delivered his lunch. On the evening of the fourth day, Henry walked into the kitchen. "Sophie, why have you been avoiding me?" "I haven't." I apologized again, but he was right. We can't keep living like this forever. It'll be fine if we just give it some time. With that, Henry left the kitchen. A week passed. I gradually got used to it. Seeing Henry's face in the morning no longer made me tremble, and I could eat at the same table again. But something strange was happening. I kept thinking about that night, the sensory stimulation I had felt in the darkness, those 15 minutes of relentless rhythm, the trembling I experienced for the first time. The more I tried to forget, the clearer the memory became. About a week later, Michael wanted to make love. We started, but as usual it ended very quickly, probably less than 3 minutes. "Sorry," he said, then turned over and began snoring. I stared at the ceiling, my body strangely restless. It felt like something had been ignited but never fully burned, leaving me incomplete. I thought back to that night with Henry, the heat that had lasted more than 10 minutes, the completely different rhythm. The moment my whole body shook. For the first time, I had truly felt like a woman. No, I can't think like this. I shook my head, trying to push the thoughts away, but they wouldn't leave. I went to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. Looking at my flushed reflection in the mirror, I returned to bed. Michael was still snoring loudly. I closed my eyes, but my mind was filled with that scene. The next morning at the dining table, Henry and I made eye contact. He looked at me differently from usual. In that instant, it felt as if an electric current passed between us. I knew we were both thinking about that night. I quickly looked away. This was wrong, but my body honestly remembered every moment of that evening. 2 weeks passed, and life returned to its ordinary routine: cooking, taking care of things, seeing Michael off while Henry was there. But it wasn't quite the same as before. Every time our eyes met, my heart would pound wildly. When we passed each other in the hallway, my whole body would tense up. And every night, I would remember that evening. One Thursday evening, Michael said he had to go on a 2-day business trip. He would leave early Friday morning and return Saturday night. "You'll be fine alone, right? Dad will be here anyway." "Yeah, you go ahead." Friday morning, Michael left. The sound of the door closing seemed especially loud. Now the house contained only Henry and me. All day I stayed careful, remaining in my room to avoid encountering him. In the evening I began preparing dinner. Around 6 o'clock, while I was heating soup and stirring as frying, I heard breathing behind me. Henry was standing at the kitchen doorway. "Sophie, it's Dad. What's for dinner?" "Dagu soup and spicy stirred pork." Henry stepped into the kitchen. The narrow space felt even more crowded. "Let me help wash the vegetables." "No need. I can do it." Henry stood right beside me, his arm brushing against mine. My body went stiff. "Sophie, you've been uncomfortable since that day, haven't you?" "No." It was a lie. Henry gently grabbed my arm. "Sophie, I've been the same. I can't forget it either." My heart was beating wildly. "Dad, you too?" I called in answer. but my silence was answer enough. Henry turned my body to face him. "This isn't right. I know, but I keep thinking about you." The words slipped out before I could stop them. "Me too." Henry's hand settled on my waist. "Just one more time. Dad, we can't." I knew it was wrong, but I didn't pull away. This time it wasn't in darkness but in the bright kitchen, where we could clearly see each other's faces. I turned off the stove, took Henry's hand, and led him into the hallway. We couldn't go to the master bedroom, so we went to his room. He closed the door and locked it, then gently pushed me toward the bed. I fell back onto it. This time we began slowly. We removed our clothes without hurry because the lights were on and everything was clearly visible. His body, my body. Though I felt ashamed, I couldn't stop. Henry leaned over me. I felt his weight, delicious and heavy. Then we joined. This time was different, too, full of power, a fullness that Michael could never match. He moved slowly, entering deeply, then slowly withdrawing, with perfect rhythm. 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed. My body reacted intensely. That hot current gathered deep in my core again. I couldn't hold back the sounds escaping my lips. I tried to endure it, but I couldn't. "Dad, it's okay." Henry quickened his pace, going deeper and faster. Around 15-minute mark, my whole body trembled once again. Henry quickened his pace, going deeper and faster. Around the 15-minute mark, my whole body trembled once again. Just like that night, a giant wave crashed over me and I couldn't help but cry out. This was the first time I really understood the feeling my friends had talked about. Henry was breathing heavily too, sweat dripping down his cheeks. After more than 20 minutes, he finally stopped with a low, deep groan. He lay down beside me on his side. The room was filled only with the sound of our ragged breathing. We stayed like that for a long while. Every time. "Do you regret it?" Henry asked. I thought for a moment. Regret? I wasn't sure. Before I could answer, he took my hand. "But don't lie. It felt really good just now, didn't it? For you too?" Though I felt ashamed, I couldn't deny how honest my body had been. "Yes. Michael has never made me feel like that. He lasts 3 minutes. 5 at most." Henry let out a long sigh. "No wonder you reacted so strongly." I felt deeply embarrassed. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's perfectly normal for a woman to feel pleasure. Henry sat up, and I followed. "Every time. You know this is wrong, right?" "I know, but I still want to do it." He was so honest. "Me too," I whispered. Henry looked at me in surprise. "Really?" I nodded. "While Michael doesn't know. Just the two of us. Is that okay?" My mind told me no, but my body was aching with desire. "I'll think about it." I got dressed and left his room, then went back to mine and looked in the mirror. My cheeks were flushed, my lips slightly swollen, and there were red marks on the side of my neck. I took a shower. The warm water flowed over my body, leaving me feeling weak and soft all over. I prepared dinner and sat face to face with Henry at the table. Though it felt awkward, it also felt strangely comfortable. "It's delicious. Thank you, Dad." While I was washing the dishes afterward, Henry came up behind me and wrapped his arms around me. "Sophie, tonight too. Michael is coming back tomorrow. How about tomorrow during the day?" "Dad, I was just kidding." Henry laughed and walked toward the living room. As I continued washing the dishes, I wondered if this was right. But my body was honest. I still wanted him. We kept this secret relationship going for 3 months. Then one Monday, Michael said, "This week I have to go on a business trip to Iju." My heart skipped a beat. "A whole week?" "Yeah. Head office training. I leave Sunday and come back next Saturday. The whole week. It would be just Henry and me, alone together." That night, while Michael was in the shower, Henry gave a soft laugh when it was just the two of us. Yishu. Huh? Yes. We'll be able to see each other every day. On Sunday morning, Shchmaikian headed out the door. Doctor safely. Yeah. Take good care of things here. Dad, don't give Sophie any trouble this week. Okay? Don't worry. Come back soon. The door closed. Now it was just Henry and me in the house. I sat in the living room for a while with the TV on, but I had no idea what was playing. Sophie? Yes? Today we'll take our time. I nodded. Around 10 in the morning, I went to Henry's room. There was no rush. We had all the time in the world. One by one, our clothes came off. We kissed and caressed each other. When we lay down on the bed, Henry said, "Today I want to feel every part of your body. Sophie." The moment I understood what he meant, my face burned crimson. Henry's hands explored me slowly, starting from my neck, moving to my collarbone, my chest, my stomach, my thighs. He kissed and stroked every inch. It tickled so much I cowled and stopped squirming. Hold still. The foreplay alone lasted more than 10 minutes. Even before he entered me, my body was already burning hot. When his thick, hard length finally slid inside, I cowled and held back a moan. It feels so good, Sophie. He moved slowly, thrusting deep, then pulling back almost completely in a perfect rhythm. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. My first orgasm hit. My whole body shaking hard. Keep going? I nodded, and he started again. This time he moved a little faster. About 10 minutes later, the second climax washed over me. The whole session lasted more than 40 minutes, the longest we had ever gone. Afterward, I lay limp on the bed, unable to move. Are you okay, Sophie? It felt too good. Henry smiled and gently stroked my hair. After lunch, we sat on the sofa watching TV. Henry's arm was around my shoulders. We looked just like an ordinary married couple. Around 3 in the afternoon, Henry said, "Let's take a nap." We went to his room and lay side by side on the bed. Sophie? Huh? Does Michael treat you well? Yes, okay. It's pretty ordinary. Has he ever told you he loves you? He said it when we first got married, I think. Henry sighed. My son really is a fool, leaving such a beautiful woman by his side. He pulled me into his arms, and we started again. The second time happened during our nap. Half one us asleep with a hazy, dreamy pleasure. It lasted about 30 minutes. I made dinner and we ate facing each other. It's really delicious. Thank you. Michael doesn't know what he's missing. Yeah, he has no idea what a wonderful woman you are, Sophie. I lowered my head, blushing. While I was washing the dishes, Henry hugged me from behind again. Tonight too? Yes. At 10 o'clock that night, I went to his room for the third time. The feeling at night was different, more secret, deeper. After about 20 minutes, I reached the peak once more. Monday morning I woke up in Henry's arms. It felt strange not waking up beside my husband, but beside him. Did you sleep well? After breakfast, we started again. Morning, afternoon, evening 3 times that day. Tuesday and Wednesday were the same. On Thursday night, while we were lost in passion in Henry's room, he suddenly said, "Sophie, how about we do it in your room this time?" My room that was the bed I shared with Michael. The thought made my heart race even faster. Wouldn't that feel even more exciting? My heart was pounding wildly just from imagining it. I was relieved that Michael wouldn't be coming back this week. Henry took my hand and led me into my room, to the bed I shared with my husband. It felt so strange, lying there beside pillow and doing this with Henry for the first time. I was truly terrified, but it would be okay, Michael would never know. We began, on the very bed where my husband slept every night. The guilt flooded over me, yet it brought an even stronger thrill. We were far more intense than usual. Henry seemed just as excited. Doing it here in Michael's bed felt even better for me, too. The forbidden pleasure of crossing that line made my scalp tingle. It lasted more than 30 minutes, and I reached climax 3 times, moaning much louder than I ever had before. Afterward, I changed the sheets. They were already soaked with sweat and carefully erased every trace. "Should we do it here again tomorrow?" I asked. "Dad, I'm just kidding, but this really is nice. On Friday night we did it again in my room, on the bed I shared with Michael. This time it went on for over 40 minutes. How long does Michael usually last here?" Henry asked. "Less than 5 minutes. Poor thing. So you've never really felt satisfied on this bed before?" "No. This is the first time. Then today counts as your real first night on this bed." "That's right. On this bed, I finally understood what it means to feel like a woman." On Saturday morning, I knew my husband would be coming home that night. At breakfast, Henry said, "Today is our last day." "Yes, so let's make it something special." "Special? Let's keep going until we can't move anymore." My heart pounded. At 10 in the morning, we started the first time in Henry's room. 30 minutes. After lunch, we took a short nap to save our strength. Around 2 in the afternoon, we did it a second time in my room for a full 40 minutes. At 4 o'clock came the third time, a quick, fierce 20 minutes on the living room sofa. "It feels so strange on the sofa," I said. "That's why it's even more exciting." Around 5 minutes 30, we had our fourth round. Back in Henry's room, we were both getting tired, but neither of us wanted to stop. We moved slowly, tangled together for about 30 minutes. "Can we still do it one more time?" I asked. "Michael would be back at 7, he said. I glanced at the clock. It was already 10 past 6. "Hurry. One last time." This was the 5th time. Maybe because we were exhausted, every sensation felt sharper. In less than 20 minutes I came so hard I cried out. Henry followed right after. I checked the time, 6:40. We had to hurry and shower. We rushed into the bathroom together and washed each other's bodies. "Sophie, this week has really felt like a dream." "For me too. 5 times in one day. That's a first." "Yeah. I can hardly believe it myself. I'm 70-5 years old and I still managed 5 times in a day." We both laughed. We got dressed, changed the sheets, opened the windows to air everything out and erase every last trace. At 10 past 7, Michael came home. "I'm back. Welcome home. How was your week?" "Taking care of Dad must have been tiring, right?" No, it was fine. It was a lie. It hadn't been tiring, it had been wonderful. After dinner, Michael said he was exhausted and went to bed early. I stood washing the dishes, unable to stop the smile from spreading across my face as I thought of him lying on the very bed where Henry and I had made love that afternoon. Henry walked into the kitchen. "Sophie." "Yes? Thank you so much for this week." "No, thank you. When Michael goes on his next business trip, let's do this again." "Okay." Henry squeezed my hand tightly. That night, as Michael lay snoring beside me, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about how we had done it 5 times just that day. Over the whole week it had been more than 20 times. At 50-3 years old, it was hard to believe, but my body remembered every single moment. From that week onward, our relationship continued. Whenever Michael left for work, I would go to Henry's room, 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more. 3 months passed, then 6. Now I have grown completely used to it. Every morning after seeing Michael off, I would spend intimate time with Henry, then tidy everything up before my husband returned. Once it was really close. We were in the middle of making love in the room when Michael suddenly came home early. He had forgotten some company documents. I grabbed my clothes and hid in the bathroom while Henry went out to handle him. "Dad, I just came back to grab a file." Oh, okay. Go ahead and get it." After Michael left, the 2 of us collapsed in laughter. It had been a heart-topping moment. We knew we had to be more careful from then on. Even so, Saying we would be careful didn't mean the number of times decreased. One day I met up with friends at a cafe. While we were chatting, one of them said, "Sophie, you've changed so much lately. Your skin looks better, and your whole expression is brighter." "Really?" "Yes. What's your secret?" "Teach us," another friend chimed in. "Exactly. We're all getting older and starting to wither. But you look like you've turned back the clock." "Oh, I've just been doing a little exercise." "What kind of exercise?" Yoga." It was a lie. How could I possibly tell them the truth that I was doing an hour of intense exercise with Henry 3 or 4 times a week? When I got home and looked in the mirror, I saw my friends were right. Even though I was over 50, I looked younger than I had a few years ago. Michael still hadn't noticed any change. He made love to me, maybe once or twice a month, and it was still over in 3 minutes. Once it was even less than 2. "Sorry," he said, then turned over and went to sleep. I went to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and sighed. With Henry I could go for 30 or 40 minutes at a time, but with Michael it was only 3 minutes. There was no comparison. That night, I lay awake, wondering if this kind of life was really right. But I couldn't stop. The time I spent with Henry was too wonderful. By the 8th month, Michael had to go on another business trip, this time for 3 days, from Friday to Sunday. From Friday night until Sunday morning, I slept in Henry's room every night. I fell asleep in his arms and woke up beside him, just like a real married couple. "Sophie," he said one night, "if you and Michael ever separated, would you be willing to live with me?" The sudden question caught me off guard. "Dad, you're joking, right?" "Sorry," he added quickly, but his eyes told me he wasn't joking at all. His gaze was completely serious. Sometimes I think how nice it would be if you and I were really husband and wife." A pang of bittersweet emotion swept through me. I sometimes thought the same thing. "Honestly, I feel the most at ease when I'm with you, Dad." Henry pulled me tightly into his arms. "Thank you." On Sunday night, Michael came home, and life returned to its usual routine, but Henry's words kept echoing in my mind. I tried to imagine what it would be like if I left Michael and lived with Henry, just the two of us. Falling asleep in his arms every night didn't feel wrong. In fact, it felt wonderful, yet reality was harsh. Divorce at 50, and because of my father Menis law, it was impossible, so we could only continue like this, hiding everything from Michael and from the rest of the world. A year passed, and our relationship continued, 3 or 4 times a week, each time lasting 30 or 40 minutes. With Michael, it was once or twice a month, always over in 3 minutes. The contrast was stark, but there was nothing I could do about it. One evening at dinner, Henry said, "Sophie, your cooking is really delicious." "Thank you. Michael is so lucky to have such a wonderful wife." Michael smiled and replied, "Yes, I'm very fortunate." Fortunate? The man who couldn't even hold me properly once. But I said nothing. Henry and I exchanged a glance, and he gave a bitter smile. That night, after Michael fell asleep, I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like I was just in my early 40s. My friends all envied me. My skin was glowing. My complexion radiant. It was all thanks to Henry. This relationship had brought me back to life. I didn't know how long it could last. Maybe Michael would find out. Maybe Henry would grow tired of it. But at least in this moment, I was happy. The nights I spent in Henry's room several times a week were the heart of my life. The nights I slept beside Michael were merely something to endure. Only the nights when I fell asleep in Henry's arms felt like real living. Was this right? I didn't know, but I had never regretted it once. I'm in my 50s now. Many people think that by this age, everything is over. Desire and love belong to the past. But that's not true. At 50, I experienced for the first time what it really means to feel like a woman. After 20-5 years of marriage, I had never once been satisfied by my husband. It always ended in 3 minutes. leaving me with nothing but emptiness. I used to think that was normal, that women were simply supposed to accept it. Only after meeting Henry did I understand that it didn't have to be that way. Women have the right to enjoy pleasure just as much as men do. Of course, this is a forbidden relationship, father's law and daughter's de foinis and minus law. It's taboo, but I don't regret it. Because at this age, I finally feel truly alive for the first time. What about you? Are you satisfied with your relationship with your husband? When was the last time you felt overwhelming pleasure? Have you endured for 20 or 30 years like I did? Women have desires, and we have the right to feel them. Age is just a number. Even at 50 or 60, we are still women. Henry is 70-5 now, yet he can still make love 3 or 4 times a week, each time lasting more than 30 minutes. Steven only manages once or twice a month, finishing in 3 minutes. It isn't an age issue. It's about whether a man truly cares for his woman and knows how to satisfy her. From Henry, I learned how a man should treat a woman and how to make her feel fulfilled. So don't keep enduring it any longer. If you're not satisfied, speak up or make another choice. Life is only once. It's too sad to live with dissatisfaction. Although I'm over 50, this is the happiest time of my life. When my friends ask me my secret for looking younger, the answer is simple: a satisfying relationship. Several times a week, each time more than 30 minutes of genuine, a devoted time that has given me back my youth. You can find the courage too. Don't be ashamed of your desires. Even though it's dusk, the sun has not yet set. We still have our light. Dusk desires. Thank you for staying with me. May every story leave a little warmth in your heart. This is Night Whispers Audiobook.